Hello, my name is Generic Otaku, and welcome to the 2026 edition of my monthly anime dump, in which I give you my opinion on the various animes I've watched over the month, so you don't have to waste your time watching trash anime. If you are new to my channel and want more anime, manga, and light novel content, make sure you subscribe. Without any further ado, I give you my June 2026 anime dump. The best way to describe my feelings towards Dangers in My Heart is that it's complicated. It feels like I'm a math teacher who's checking a student's work, who got part of the question right, but I'm kind of struggling to see where the student went wrong. Dangers in My Heart has the attributes to be a good rom-com, with a main character who audiences won't hate, and a lead girl who audiences will fawn over. But in the end, similar to Horimiya, I came away with a feeling of dissatisfaction, as if I should have enjoyed it more. This feeling could be due to Danger in My Heart's shallowness, in that throughout its runtime, it seems to present itself as deeper than it actually is. For instance, Ikigawa, during his confession at the end of season 2, talks about how he doesn't need Yamada and he is fine without her, which would be a touching scene if 1. His original problem was codependency, and 2. If it were actually true. In reference to 1, Ikigawa's original issue was that he had a weird interest in murders, which helped contribute to a twisted personality, both of which have nothing to do with Yamada herself. Thus, him coming out of his shell should have not been presented as him not relying on Yamada anymore, especially when all of the character development that Ikigawa goes through actually is a direct result of Yamada. Such examples include Ikigawa agreeing to do the speech, or his participation in the sports festival, or really any of his interactions with side characters outside of his family. Thus, while the anime tells the audience otherwise, Ikigawa starts the anime as a loner with a twisted personality and ends it as a loner with a less twisted personality, all of which is due to Yamada. Despite this truth, Dangers in My Heart acts as if he went on some solo journey of self-discovery, when in reality what was shown was him changing only due to Yamada's influence, thus resulting in confusion, in which it seems as if I was able to see the beginning of his journey and the end of his journey, with the bridge that connects start to finish being lost. Another aspect that seems lost in Dangers in My Heart is the romance itself, in that, like the character development or lack thereof, the anime presents itself as deep when in reality it is shallow. Though Ikigawa and Yamada state their reasons for loving each other, their declarations of love ring hollow when their reasons for love is that each one has impacted the other, but in reality only Ikigawa has changed. Throughout the relationship, Yamada has brought Ikigawa out of his shell, but Ikigawa's influence on Yamada remains to be seen. The show treats their romance as a journey of both of them influencing each other to be better people, when in reality only Ikigawa grew due to their relationship, and said growth was limited. Thus, the romance was closer to the caliber of my love story with Yamaka-kun as nothing but shallow wish fulfillment instead of the one with depth, such as with More Than a Couple, which is an example of a relationship in which both partners grew due to their interactions with each other. Which is why I rate season 1 and season 2 of The Dangers in My Heart a 7 out of 10 with a watch at your own risk. I can see why so many people like this anime, but as I dive deeper, I can't say it's worth using a full day of time to watch. The next anime up of this anime dump is the fall 1988 anime Starship Troopers. As I look back on my time watching Starship Troopers, I find myself conflicted for multiple reasons. On the one hand, I want to sing its praises for merely giving me more Starship Troopers media, given that I'm a huge fan of the IP, having read the original novel and watched the 1997 Paul Verhoeven film multiple times. I have a strong inclination to sing its praises for merely existing, especially when the anime is the closest to a one-to-one adaptation of the 1959 Robert Heinlein novel, which makes sense given that the OVA series was meant as a tribute to the late author. This anime brought Heinlein's power armor to life, and I'm thankful for it as a fan of the novel. That being said, I do have 3 main issues, those being the length of the series, the story itself, and the ending. On the length of the series, I believe it was way too short, which factors into my second issue is that there were points in the narrative that seemed rushed or unfinished. 2 prime examples are Riko's mom's reaction to him joining the mobile infantry and the little pep talk after her death. In both instances, it seems like the narrative was moving at such a breakneck pace that the more weighty moments of the series seem to lose impact. For instance, when Greg dies trying to save Rico, the anime doesn't allow the audience to really sit with the loss or the true weight behind the Federation not giving him burial honors, because it jumps to the next story beat. The only time I felt the true cost of war that the anime was trying to display was when Carmencita was thought to be dead, instead, because it really made me empathize with Rico, given that he already lost his mom and has now lost the woman he loved. Which brings me to the final critique, which is at the end when Carmen and Rico are about to confess, but for some reason the anime decides to cut them off before they get the words out. I absolutely hate this trope, especially given the emotional satisfaction I would have gained from being able to see Rico confess to Carmen and her return his feelings, especially after he failed to tell her in high school and thought she died. Having them confess and then kiss would have put a nice bow on the story, though I digress. In the end, I rate the 1988 anime Starship Troopers an 8 out of 10 for those who've read the Robert Heinlein novel, and a 7 out of 10 for regular anime fans, with a recommendation to watch, particularly if you like sci-fi or retro animes. The next anime up is the hit Winter 2026 anime, You and I Are Polar Opposites. This anime breaks new territory for me because sadly this is the first time I've watched a rom-com and preferred the com over the rom. But before I get into the why, I first want to discuss how truly funny this anime is. From the first episode to the last, I quite literally was laughing out loud. Whether it was the deadpan humor with characters like Azuma with her relationship troubles, or with the general cast use of Gen Z slang. If I had to rank the most funny animes I've watched, this anime is cracking the list. That being said, where I believe this anime fell short is the rom in this rom-com, for two reasons. The first is the initial why, and the second is the relationship itself. One of the reoccurring reasons I've heard as to why people enjoy Polar Opposites is because it has its confession in episode 1 instead of using its runtime to work up to the two leads into a confession, which is common in romance anime. This gamble would have paid off if there was something about the leads that would have warranted such deep declarations of feelings so early on, for example like the two main leads in Boarding School Juliet, but the issue is there isn't. There is nothing about Tani as a person nor their relationship prior to their confessions that warrants Suzuki having feelings for him, and the same remains true in the reverse unless one were to say Tani just values Suzuki's appearance, which would be shallow for a romance anime. Prior to their confessions, their interactions was Suzuki just pestering Tani and Tani going along with it because he's too socially aloof to understand that he should be annoyed. This decision to skip the build-up of the main romantic relationship results in the professions of love from episode 1 through 12 between Suzuki and Tani never really hitting home as they should, and by the end of the anime had me wondering why either of them said yes in the first place. What makes this worse is the main reason as to why Suzuki loves Tani is based on a complete misunderstanding of his personality. Suzuki stated that the reason why she likes Tani is because she perceives him as not caring about the opinions of the people around him, in contrast to herself, who she says is constantly worrying about how others perceive her. This would be a sweet reason if this wasn't a total misread of Tani's entire personality. It's not that Tani is so self-assured and confident that he doesn't care about the way in which people see him. It's that his introverted disposition resulted in him lacking the ability to develop social skills, which resulted in him being aloof in social situations and opted to being candid in order to communicate. Thus, her entire why, as in why she loves him, is based off of a misunderstanding that is never rectified. Even after they've been in a relationship, Tani explained to her this exact explanation. She still treats his personality as if he's acting the way he does as some protest against social pressures. You would think that such a revelation would result in a type of crisis in which Suzuki would have had to grapple with if she actually likes Tani, but instead the show continues as if this isn't a huge issue. Instead, Polar Opposites has Suzuki focus on the fact that she is constantly the one leading their relationship, as if that's not the reason why their entire relationship worked in the first place, and Tani didn't say that specific reason is why she likes her. Speaking of Tani's reasons for liking Suzuki is barely any better. The reason why Tani likes Suzuki is because he likes that she pesters him, which results in the same issue I had with my love story, because similar to Goda, with Tani's why, almost any girl within Suzuki's friend group would do and be a good match for him. There's nothing special or unique about their dynamic. Even the theme that they are opposites wasn't well done, especially since for the majority of the anime, them being opposites doesn't cause real tension. In fact, by the end of the anime, I cared more about the budding relationship between Azuma and Tayari than I did about the main relationship. Honestly, by the end, I came away wondering why they're even together in the first place. Not because they're polar opposites, but because they really don't have a reason to be. This is in contrast to anime such as My Dress Up Darling, which is an excellent example of the opposites attract trope, and does a great job of giving their two leads a reason to bridge the chasm between them. Though I digress. All in all, if I had to describe my thoughts on this anime, I would say that it's more calm than rom, not from a lack of trying, but execution in terms of the value I got from watching it. That's not to say there isn't romance in Polar Opposites, just that when watching, the times where I felt myself truly enjoying the show was when Miyu was being her fun, cutesy self, or when side characters like Azuma would do their deadpan quips. If you want to laugh, then this is your show, but if you're looking for a well-written romance between two unlikely lovebirds, then I recommend giving this one a skip. which is why I rate You and I Are Polar Opposites Season 1 a 7 out of 10 with a recommendation to watch at your own risk. Well, those were the animes that I watched during the month of June. I really hope you enjoyed the video and will check out the anime I recommended. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe for more anime related content. My name is Generic Otaku, and I bid you farewell.